All right, folks, let's get started. Welcome everyone to the Paketo Working Group Weekly Meeting. Thank you for joining. Here is the link to the agenda notes. Feel free to add yourself to attend this list and also share any question or discussion topic you would like to see covered here. I'm sharing here my screen. All right. Great. Is there anyone who would like to take notes for today? Oh.
I can give it a shot.
Thank you, Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Cool. Is anyone joining here for the first time? No, I don't think so. Cool. All right. So let's get, I don't know, Jericho, we can add a small section here of minutes and then you can start taking notes there if you want. Cool. So being here the first meeting of the month, we usually provide a brief update on the status of roadmap. So let's go there. So I think we'll start with the in progress proposals, starting with this one, rename Buildpacks. Is there any update, any discussion about this one? Besides, Forrest believe this is complete.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, it's in there. I think that this has been completed. I don't know that there's any build pack that currently doesn't have this naming scheme of Paketo build pack for blank technology. So I think that this is good to close. We could maybe do one last audit if we wanted to, but I don't know that that's necessary.
All right, thank you, Forrest. Any other comment, question? No. Ooh, great. Next up, common login levels for Buildpacks.
Yesterday, I think we discovered that the .NET Core issues for this have not been done yet. So this is close to being done, I think, but there's a couple build packs that still need to be done. Also, it looks like some of the node build packs also need debug logging added.
All right, great. Thank you, Sophie. Next up, the secure runtime environments proposal. Is there any update about this one? Nope. All right, seems like no major update. Okay.
Wait, quickly, I have a question about that one, David. Does anyone know like what remains to be done on this? I see that there's like one completed linked issue here. But yeah, I just don't know what the status of this is.
I think the status is the same as it was last month, which is, I think we've done all the work. I went to like every build pack and made sure that it runs with separate user IDs and group IDs. But because not every one of the build packs is switched over to Jammy, which is the only place we actually have differing UIDs and GIDs, we don't have test coverage of all the build packs. So we think all the work is done. We just can't assert that on every single build with tests. So we're waiting for full Jammy coverage before you can say that it's really done.
Cool. I'm gonna capture that in a comment. on here.
Out of
Right.
curiosity from my side, I think that was specifically for something in the Spring ecosystem, but for what I remember, we currently still don't enforce the read-only file system on our Kubernetes deployments because some things needed it. Do you all think this should actually be done with this thing? So I should make sure we revalidate that and maybe enable the read-only file system.
I think so. It's
great.
certainly worth exploring, right? And our goal is to like enable working on a read-only file system, with the exception of like, there are certain instances where files will want to write some temporary file, like a PID file or something like that, but you should be able to do something like mount a tempfs into the.
Oh yeah, we mount mtdir on Kubernetes.
Yeah, and we will make
as a
sure that
temp
like
folder.
those things get, anything that should be like that should get written to temp, basically. So with that that one caveat, I think our goal is for it to work on a read-only file system. So you should at least try it out and report issues if you find them.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right, thank you. Okay, next one. Default behavior for Buildpacks set language ecosystem and environment variables.
My understanding is that like the outstanding build packs are largely the Java ecosystem where there's like certain environment variables that were explicitly deprioritized. I think there's some conversation about that on this thread. Nothing new there as far as I know. And then otherwise, the .NET root environment variable is on its way out with like the re-architecture that we're doing. I don't know about the status of Node here.
Okay, thank you, Frankie. Any further update in terms of Node or any other general update about this proposal? No. Okay, great. Next one, reloadable process types. Seems like it's missing PHP and Ruby validation, but not sure if there is any other update.
There's work going on in PHP. There's one PR. If that gets closed and then released to the language family, we can check off the PHP. I don't believe anyone is working on Ruby at this time.
All right. Thank you, Josh. Okay. Remote debug. Is there any updates? Seems like it's missing validation some language families.
This is just priorities and resource constraints issue. Can only work on so many things at once, and Jammy is taking up quite a lot of our time. So this is just like been deprioritized. So we just haven't made any progress.
All right. Just thinking out loud, should we have a label or something like that to identify RFCs that are accepted, but implementation is deprioritized? Or yeah, just an idea. Okay, next up, Johnny Builder, sorry.
Progress on this. Oh, go for it, Sophie. You have more context on this deal.
I think we were going to say the same thing, Frankie. Doesn't matter, but yeah, this is just blocked on, getting all the build packs to work on Jamie first, which is blocked by the dependencies work that we're doing. We're getting through those slowly but surely. There's still a few language families that need to be brought up to work on Jammy. I think web servers right now is almost done, and that will unblock, I think, base potentially. And then there's still quite a few left for Jammy full. But anyways, we're working on this actively right now.
Great. Thank you, Sophie. All right. Graceful stack upgrades.
I think that this is also in a similar place, at least for the non-Java build packs. I think specifically Ruby and PHP aren't, like, they don't support Jammy yet, so there's no way for us to do graceful stack upgrades for them. Once that work is done, we can work on that. But I think most of the other non-Java languages are now complete.
Great. Thank you.
Quick question from my side. Do you all think this is mainly about testing that graceful updates work, or is there really things that don't work out of the box, but there's something Buildpacks can do to support graceful updates?
For some language ecosystems, it was about testing. You know, like I think oftentimes like we start with that. So like for Go and Python, we did investigations and basically wrote tests to ensure that this works as expected, but the language tool chains seem to handle it just fine. In the case of .NET Core, that tool chain didn't behave as expected when the stack upgraded across builds. So we did implement changes there to basically like prevent like caches from ending up in bad states that the tool chains wouldn't be able to handle.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. All right. Next up, support for Yarn-Berry. Is there any recent update of the progress of this one?
Fortunately, I think Tim had to drop for a minute from this meeting. He's the one with probably the most context. I think he's worked on it a little bit on and off. I just don't know what state it's currently in.
Right. Okay, thank you. Yeah, we'll see if Tim can join back. All right, reduce build complexity of .NET runtimes. All right, is there any update? No.
Yeah, so I can speak to this. I think Forrest actually created the .NET Core ASP.NET runtime build pack. It hasn't been released yet because we haven't quite gotten around to, you know, doing the rest of the issues listed here yet. But the first step is done, and once that gets released, we can introduce it into the language family. Forrest might have a little bit more context on what the next steps are, though.
I mean, the next steps are kind of as follows in the issue. We have to cut a release, deprecate, and then, you know, do the backwards compatibility work. But I've gotten a little sidetracked on this. I should probably pick this up sooner rather than later. No.
All right, thank you. And finally, well, dependency management.
Yeah, so we've made a lot of progress so far. I see a lot of different issues being checked off here, which is great. I think that there's still a handful of language families that we don't have RFCs for. So off the top of my head, I think we need .NET Core, PHP, there might be another one, but the other ones all have RFCs in to describe, that first step, like what we're going to do with the dependencies, whether we're going to compile them ourselves or if we're going to grab them directly from upstream. And some of them even already have implementations. I believe HTTPD and Nginx both have PRs open to actually, implement the new system and leverage the new workflows. And we are actively working on all of these as a team at the moment.
Awesome. Thank you, Sophie. Any question, any further comment on this proposal? All right. Seems like the only one that which status needs investigation is distribute Buildpacks via Docker Hub. Not sure if it's blocking, but one of the comments here had to do with getting Paketo Buildpacks as part of the Docker open source program. It has some benefits like removing rate limiting, and there's work in progress in that regard with the Cloud Foundry Foundation team, just to ensure that the project has this benefit. And besides that, seems like it still needing validation in some language families, but that's the progress that we saw recently. I don't know if someone else has any further comment about this one.
Like open source program for Docker is something that continues to baffle me. I'm pretty sure we've been on it for like a year or more since it got announced. But like we don't have those badges for some inexplicable reason next to any of our images. But we do have no rate limiting on all of the polls for our images. So like we have some of the features and benefits, but like not all of them. It's just like really unclear what we need to do to make that happen.
Yeah, see Chris here from the Cloud Foundry Foundation, and he shares the frustration with this initiative.
See Chris Clark here. I'm wondering if the CFF staff is already trying to tackle it. Hi, Chris.
Hey, folks. Sorry, I was actually just I had a phone call just now, so if you could hate to admit that I wasn't paying attention during that just now, but if you could repeat that.
Yeah,
the question, yeah, go on.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, about the Docker open source program.
Oh, yeah. I've reached out to them. I just opened another issue on this. Yeah, it's been really like pulling teeth to get them to respond to this. Like several months ago, they responded because I was trying to get the open source like badges for Cloud Foundry, Bosch CPIs, Paketo Buildpacks. And yeah, they said there was some glitch and there was like a backlog, and I was like, it's a badge like on your website. It's having said that, it's been somewhat yeah, I just reopened a ticket with them like 2 days ago. So I do hope to get this rectified, but it's been somewhat frustrating to be honest. Are there rate limiting issues that we're running into, or is it just the badges?
Every once in a while, someone stumbles into the Slack instance and says, I'm seeing a rate limit issue. And like Dan Makuza and I investigate it and discover that there's no problem, that we have like unlimited polls against all the images. And it's something like they're behind some sort of proxy that's like causing them to have an issue.
Right, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I believe the Paketo community GitHub org, I don't think we've gotten approved as an open source in the Docker Hub open source program, but Paketo Buildpack should be. Cloud Foundry definitely is, but is, you know, there's badges where you see like open source program we should have those, and they haven't really provided a decent reason why we don't. But like when I pinged them months ago, they were like, "Yeah, this might take some time," and I'm like, I just wasn't quite sure why. So I'm following up on that. It's a bit weird. If there are already like more technical issues like rate limiting, please reach out. But I will be more persistent on them on this, because it's just I don't quite get why they've been unable to just put those badges on there.
Okay, thank you, Chris. All right, any other comment about the roadmap? No, let me see. Cool. Okay, next up is to quickly review outstanding RFCs. Starting first one, I don't know if anyone from the team here is aware of any update to this proposal, or if there will be any objection on moving it to draft state, because we've been asking week after week about the status of this one.
I think it's reasonable to move it into draft state at this point.
Okay, got it. Right, okay. Next up, include libs to tiny that are needed for Node. I think the most recent update came from Dan. Seems like it has enough approvals to be merged, but waiting for this meeting just to give one last chance for feedback. So is there any further comment, any additional feedback about this proposal? Nope. So no objections against merging it. All right. Cool. Next one, finally, new dependency strategy for Node.js.
Yeah, I need to update this because the node dependency can be used directly from upstream. And then also, I haven't looked into if there are other dependencies that need to be included on this list. So I'll get around to doing that. But for now, this should stay open.
I have a question on that. So I know that this ticket is about the dependencies, but do you plan to change and start pulling from upstream just period as part of this work, or is that going to be separate?
So like once this RFC gets approved and is merged, there's already an issue for Node to implement the dependency management stuff.
Mhm.
And in doing that, yes, we would go ahead and make the change to get it directly from upstream.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, thanks.
No worries.
All right. Thank you, Victoria. Any additional comments about this RFC or in general RFCs? No. Okay, next item. CNV updates and questions. I'm aware of at least one update from the upstream project. There's a new RFC process in place. It was merged last week. I would say that some of the major changes had to do with distributing responsibilities into team leads and in general RFC authors, introducing the steward role. Could be the author of the RFC himself, or team lead if it's a project RFC. It introduces similar to what other projects have done, like Kubernetes. It has project-wide RFCs, like horizontal RFCs that could affect the spec, and they have, let's say, vertical RFCs with a scope only for specific teams. Remember that in the CMB project, there are 5 teams defined the governance docs. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, platform, Buildpacks, authors, tooling, implementation, distribution, and learning. So every time there is a project-wide RFC, the team lead of the responsible team is the actual steward, and it will shepherd the proposal until there is a plan until it's approved or not. And if it's approved, it will need to have a plan to implement the RFC. So there are some changes in those lines. But yeah, if you plan to author an RFC to the upstream CMB project, be mindful that there is a new process in place. Any comment, any question about this one? No. All right. Any other update or question about native Buildpacks you're aware of? No. Okay, next one, project update. Well, the user survey is out. The goal of this 5-minute survey, that's the average time it takes, we already tested it, is to get precious feedback in some key areas of improvement for the project. So we really appreciate your time filling it out, and we have swag for the first 20 responses. So we really encourage you to go there and spend 5 minutes providing your precious feedback to the project. All right, and next up, it's that time of the month again. We have a new month right now, October. So I wanted to show real quick here if you are not aware, maybe you don't remember the Contributor of the Month initiative. We kicked off last month, and the goal is to recognize publicly our contributors in many areas and not only code. And we have some candidates, and the maintainers team have the voting rights to select the winner each month. This month, the opinion has been consistently going to Mr. Jericho Pena. You've been authoring a bunch of PRs and improvements to the project, providing your feedback, and even you are today helping, taking notes for the meeting. So thanks so much, Jericho. You're the contributor of the month for the Paketo Buildpacks project. So you receive a nice swag bundle, and again, thank you for your help.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. Next up, is there any discussion topic, any question you would like to ask here? Oh yeah, I see KubeCon updates.
Yeah, I wanted to first off thank the folks that have signed up for the booth at KubeCon to chat about Paketo. I believe on this call that's Sophie, Frankie, and Ryan. So thanks for signing up for that. We've got the booth is pretty well staffed at this point, so I appreciate folks stepping up for that because so we've got Cloud Foundry Day on the 25th. That's the Tuesday before KubeCon, and then we'll have a booth on the floor of KubeCon for the next 3 days. And I'm less concerned about the Friday because a lot of people seem to fly out early on these events. So So the idea is we'll have some person with some expertise in Kalifi, some person with some expertise in Paketo, and then Ram or I, or both of us will be at the booth. So we'll have a nice full staff there. One minor thing that I haven't reached out to him about yet is this: we also have a virtual booth, right? So like we are in this tail end of the pandemic, hybrid thing, which may last for, ever. But we are staffing a physical booth, but there's also a virtual booth that we've put together some materials for. One of the things on there will be an office hours. So I'm wondering if both on that Wednesday and that Thursday, if one of the folks who've signed up for the booth would be willing to do a 30-minute office hours where you're basically just available to answer questions to people that jump in the virtual booth. So that could be, any of you folks. I see that if one person wanted to do it, I see that Frankie and Ryan both signed up for slots on each day. But we can mix that up as well. So that's just one thing to throw out there. And I can follow up with you all directly on that to get confirmation. Other than that, I wanted to mention that we were going to have a reception the night of the 25th. That's Tuesday night after Cloud Founder Day. For the folks that are coming in person, keep that clear. That is on the schedule, but we haven't sent out details yet. But it'll be buy out at a nice restaurant nearby in Detroit. So definitely keep your Tuesday night clear. And I believe folks have had access to the handout that we're going to have. I think Ram consulted with you all on that. If you want to talk about that, that's in like the secondary stages now, so I could share my screen and show you the handout that we're going to share, or if you've already seen that, we can just kind of move on. But that's where we're at. Really looking forward to the event. Should be a lot of fun. So I guess, do you want to take a look at the handout real quick that we're going to share?
Yeah, I don't think the whole team here has seen it. So
okay, cool. Let me share my screen real quick. And this is like the first run through that creative services did on it. So it's not finalized yet, but it's a good time to chat about it.
Sure.
Can you all see that?
Yep.
Right. So this will be, as you can see the note here on the side from Ram, that this should be a 2-page brochure. It looks like it's all on one page right now. But these are the basic bullet points in the front. And then on the back, there'll be this sort of general build pack architecture lifecycle. So I'll just leave that up there for a second. I will say also, we're planning on having sort of like a 1-page handout for Graceful, 1-page handout for Paketo. Then we'll also have like a note card size handout that has basically just the logo and maybe one line and a URL code that, or sorry, scannable code that folks can find the website with. So yeah, this is what we're trying to do. It's our first in-person event in 3 years. I think we and many other people are very excited to get back to these after a long pandemic and probably too many virtual events for most people's taste. But if there's any feedback on this right now, and I can share this too, so if people want to make comments in the doc, they can. Let me do that. I'll drop it in Slack.
Great. Quick question, just to make sure, if someone wants to help with the virtual booth, office hours, etc., how they sign up?
Well, you shared that in the general Slack, and various folks have already signed up. But
okay, is it the same link? Okay.
Yeah, I'll drop this in the chat right here.
Cool.
Well, I'll stop sharing now because everyone doesn't need to read this synchronously. But here is the signups yet.
Awesome.
Here's the signups for the booth right now. And yeah, I'll probably just ping folks who've signed up and see who wants to do the virtual booth 30-minute office hours on a Slack thread. And let me just also share the doc here.
Yeah, question from Pramki. Can you do the virtual booth from anywhere?
Oh, that's possible. Yeah, right. That is. If you're not, yes, I know that's possible. It actually might be easier because it'll be less like confusion and folks running around. The floor of KubeCon can be pretty frenetic. Last time I was at a KubeCon was in 2018, but there was, I think there was probably 18,000 people there or something like that. It was pretty crazy on the floor. I expect this one from talking to folks who went to KubeCon in the EU earlier this year. They're expecting about 10,000 people at KubeCon, so it's going to be a big, crazy scene. But yes, the virtual booth office hours could be done remotely as well.
Awesome.
And here's the, I'm not sure if the permissions are set right on this, but if you click on this, I can probably get great reference. That's probably not right. I'm sorry, but
yeah.
Okay. I'm going to download that. Yeah, that was just from the email. That's probably not. Let me download that and I'll share it in. I'll share it shortly, and if folks want some more inputs in that, but I do believe Ron has already reached out to you all, so I think this should be good to go. I just wanted to have a final
review.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Chris, for sharing.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing the folks that are going to be in Detroit, and it should be a good time.
Awesome. Okay. Any other question, comment about KubeCon? No. All right. Well, with that, I see that we don't have anything else in the agenda. So thank you so much for your time and hope to see you in the next one. Remember, next week, this meeting will be held on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. With our new schedule. So there are reminders in place. The public calendar is up to date. You can just sync with your email client. And we will remind it again and again using the mailing list, etc. But yeah, remember, next week, this meeting will be held on Wednesday, 5 p.m. Central Europe time. So with that, hope to see you next week. Thank you.
Thanks all.